Okay, good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Okay, all right. Okay, we're awake. Just want to make sure. Again, Art Anderson. I appreciate the opportunity from Mitchell and from Liam as well. VJ's not here. Thank VJ as well. Just to talk a little bit about intelligent automation. So first I'll start with a definition on what intelligent automation is all about. I'm sure if I do a poll here, everybody will give me a slightly different definition of what intelligent automation is. So we'll talk and just level set there first. Then we'll move into basically what is the hype around this. I mean, there's tremendous hype around intelligent automation. We'll do a brief demo of just a portion of that space, and then we'll talk about what's in it for you, okay? So, intelligent automation. So again, I mean, I'm sure everybody would have a perception of what intelligent automation is. And a lot of it may be hyped up by what you see in TV and movies in terms of what the future of intelligent automation may be. But clearly, us being in the IT space, I think we've seen the journey from mainframes to PCs to the mobile revolution. So we have a little bit of a different perspective about intelligent automation, right? Now, I wanted you to take a look at this quote because this is kind of the context for my presentation. It's from the CEO of Deutsche Bank about a year ago. And basically what he said was, in our banks, we have people behaving like robots, doing mechanical things, transactional activity. But in the future, we're looking at having robots behave more like people. And so that's kind of the context for this discussion in terms of when I talk about intelligent automation, it's going to be more focused on the processes as that employees are going to be implementing, but then also what's the value to your customers. So what is intelligent automation? At the highest level, really what it is the automation of transactional activity on one end, moving through knowledge-based activities, and it's automating that entire space end to end. That is really what intelligent automation is all about. Now, there's three tranches of space. Sometimes I think they're merging into one area of space. The first one is called robotic process automation, RPA. And that tool set is focused on automating the manual, repetitive, rule-based activities that exist in every process. And we understand that most of the processes are largely automated in many cases, but there's always space, really the white space of processes that are not. That's a perfect opportunity for RPA. The second area is cognitive automation. And just like the definition, I mean, the word cognitive is really about knowledge. So we're talking about just automating the knowledge-based activities, largely decision-making, using machine learning, natural language processing, other tools as well that really take a lot of data to train the systems, but then ultimately train the systems in a way where they can make some of those decisions for you. Great example is accounts payable, but there's many opportunities where cognitive solutions are used today to actually drive those solutions. The third one is artificial intelligence. That's kind of like the holy grail, right? And when you look at the knowledge that AI could actually automate, I mean, largely today, I mean, it could move through all the higher end knowledge-based components of a process. I'll say it's probably not as efficient yet, but in time it will be. I think you can look at automating a variety of these areas: perceiving, inferring, gathering evidence, hypothesizing, reasoning. It's available today, right? I mean, there's a variety of AI engines out there. I think people are familiar with facial recognition. If you have a new car in the last 2 years, you're familiar with driver assist kind of capabilities and features. If you're in the medical field, clearly there's AI engines that are helping doctors today to make faster and more accurate diagnoses. So that's really the space of intelligent automation. And this particular pictorial is similar. If you go to any other consulting firm, you'll see something like this, talking about intelligent automation. They'll have RPA on one end, stretching across cognitive solutions to AI. That's really the definition of intelligent automation, okay? So why the hype, though? And obviously it comes down to the dollars, of course. So when you look at RPA, which is probably the first step in your journey, that particular market has been growing tremendously over the last couple of years, clearly well in excess of 50%. The forecast is over the next 3 to 5 years is probably on the order of 35 to 40%. So that market size is about $2 to $3 billion, which is a good size, but it's not huge. The bigger part is really the cognitive side. So when you look at the cognitive as well as AI marketplace going forward, I mean, it's in the trillions. So 2 to 5 to 6 to $7 trillion in size. You know, that's the reason why IBM and Microsoft and Google and Amazon and all the major consulting firms are in this space. I mean, they've been making acquisitions, et cetera, because they see the potential. So that's what's driving the hype. Second of all is the cycle time. I mean, not so much the cycle time, but the results in RPA. For the successful implementations, and now all of them have not been successful, but I'd say the majority of them have been. And when you look at the results, they're kind of in this range. I mean, you see cycle time reductions clearly up to 80%, which results in cost reductions in the 40 to 50% range. And accuracy, which is important from the last speaker, data accuracies are really near zero, right? So, I mean, you're seeing data accuracy and quality in the 99.5% and higher. So if you do those three things correctly, you know, then you have the opportunity to mitigate risk. You have an opportunity to improve employee morale because you're getting a lot of the mundane activities off their plate. They're focusing on some more interesting parts of their job. But then also customer experience rises as well. So those results also have helped boost the hype associated with the space. So who's doing it? I mean, it's largely small to mid-sized companies have started and have been driving the space, but clearly the larger companies are coming on board. The most recent survey says on the order of high single digits of Fortune 500 companies that are looking at a complete intelligent automation transformation, but that number will probably triple over this current year. So I think it's, again, that's some of the hype that's driving intelligent automation. Well, KPMG is just one of, I mean, all the majors have an intelligent automation practice today, and Blue Prism is just one of the majors. There's probably 50 or 60 solution providers in the space today. Blue Prism is probably one of the top 5. They were early to the game, and they've done an excellent job. So why should you care? Why should you care? I think everybody in this room is very clear about the importance of digital and digital transformation, digital strategy. And I think when you talk to any chief executive, not just the CIO or the CTO, digital is one of the key topics on their agenda. And intelligent automation is just really one of those levers that you can pull. There's obviously a lot of elements to a digital strategy. Intelligent automation is one that definitely should be considered. The second topic is really around competitive advantage. And if you want to maintain a sustainable competitive advantage, clearly you got to focus on your customer first and foremost, right? In terms of knowing what their needs, their expectations are, your journeys with them, you know, in terms of how you do business, how you buy and sell with them. That's important, but you're going to want to do that faster. If you want to differentiate from your competition, you're going to want to do it faster. You're going to want to do it lower cost, not just for you in terms of the cost of doing business, but also for them, right? And you're going to want to do that consistently and accurately. And if you do that, that's going to help with your ability to differentiate yourselves in the market. So I look at it as a sustainable competitive advantage. And then thirdly, I think the value proposition is pretty solid for this space. I think when you look at not just the relative cost of some of the tools versus alternatives, but the ROIs that they are reporting and getting in the marketplace, 5 to 10x and some even larger, you can't really just turn your head and say, I'll do that next year. I mean, you need the returns now. Right, so I think it's worth taking a closer look at that space. The POC, or really the proof of concepts, are weeks, not months or years. So you could actually build a process in a tool, or an RPA cognitive tool, in weeks. Maybe a more complex one might take months, and then you're delivering the results to your business client. So the speed is something you really can't turn your back on as well. And then thirdly, I think what's attractive in the marketplace is that you don't need to have a developer type of background to use the tools. I mean, to build a process in the Blue Prism tool or any other tool, you don't have to be a developer. I mean, someone who has some technology savvy can do that themselves. They've made the tools that easy to use. So when you put that all together, the value proposition is worth taking a look at as it pertains to intelligent automation. And then I'll close on this one point. I say it's the first step in intelligent automation, but I just read a survey from IBM yesterday, and it was a study of the chief executives at their clients, and they said that 29% of them expect significant impact from AI tools this year. So not next year, but this year. And then really the balance of that survey set, about 47% expect that from cognitive and AI tools, they expect significant impact in 2 to 3 years. So just like the video said, I mean, it's not a matter of if, it's really a matter of when. Okay? So that's it, and I'll take any questions. Yes? Yeah, I'd say where you want to start. I think you have two different approaches. I'd say the first one is you want to start with the business strategy, okay? And you want to be focused that whatever you're doing supports the business strategy. I think if anybody here has worked on a digital transformation strategy or digital strategy for their corporation, you usually have to link it to the corporate strategy, right? And so that's really the first step. If you don't have one of those, then maybe there's a different path we need to take, okay? The second path is really looking at doing something on more of a proof of concept space. So you want to understand where is the pain in a process that might be a good fit for whether it be RPA or a cognitive solution. And then that's where you want to do your pilot to obviously prove it. I think the gentleman who spoke just before me said something similar, right? You want to do the test, the pilot. You can do it in weeks, potentially. IT needs to be on board, but clearly the business, because typically the business users are the ones who are developing the tasks in the tool, right, not someone in IT.
Right, and the challenge.
Well, I mean, I think the early adopters for sure have focused on the financial space, and they focused on shared services, and they focused on customer care, customer service types of spaces. But my experience in terms of what works best is to understand where is the pain on the business side. And that's what you want to focus on. So sometimes that has carried me into the customer engagement space, I'll say. That's been the issue. But it might also take you to something on the sales and marketing side, right? So I mean, I think you want to focus where the pain is, and then look for opportunities where this technology might be a good fit. One thing just to make a note is that, I think that's one of the big benefits is the quality. One of the prerequisites, though, is data, good data. I think any of us who've been involved in the ERP, we understand the importance of data, right? Clean data. As you go into these technologies, particularly in cognitive and AI, it becomes even more important because you're using more data. It has to be even cleaner because the results that come out of that is based on the accuracy of that data, right? So yeah, I mean, I think that's probably some of the initial focus has been on data quality as a potential area for this kind of tools. Today, what they've been doing actually is a lot of RPA and cognitive solutions. A lot of companies have actually used that to fix a process for a period of time. And then what they've done is actually bring that process into their ERP platform. So sometimes it's not something that you might use forever, so to speak, because the cost is relatively low. And a lot of the things that this type of technology is good for are things that people have a hard time justifying as an enhancement on their ERP system. right? So they use this, they fix it, automate it, and then they eventually move it into another platform. It's early. I mean, I think it's early. I mean, but I do think, like for example, I think Salesforce is done a great job. I mean, I think they built in some RPA, cognitive, and even AI components into some of their CRM capability, as an example. I think Microsoft Dynamics has some AI components that they're building in as well. I mean, I think they're starting. I think they have to. That's why I said I had 3 tranches on the slide, but those are merging together. And the big guys are the ones who are actually going after. I mean, they're all partnered with companies like Blue Prism.
So would it be reasonable?
Yes, I mean, I'm talking about the customer. I mean, clearly, I mean, if you go to any one of those companies, oh yeah, the developers that are required to build that platform, the RPA or cognitive platform, yeah, I mean, you have programmers in C++, Python, et cetera. Now, in terms of building the platforms, definitely developers are key. But in terms of actually building the processes in the tool that mimic the activities in your business, those people they don't have to be developer type individuals. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.